Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 3 in the book of 1 Thessalonians. This is season 8 of our podcast, Be With Me. And today I'm going to title this, Men Describing Themselves as Women. You have to listen for this. This is an amazing, beautiful, beautiful picture that something in this story has inspired a group of men, more than one, describing themselves as nursing mothers. So listen to this. This is from 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, and Paul is talking about his ministry to the Thessalonians and a little bit of his history, and he's going to end up with a nursing mother. Here we go. For you yourselves know, brothers, that our coming to you was not in vain. But though we had already suffered and been shamefully treated at Philippi, as you know, we had boldness in our God to declare to you the gospel of God in the midst of much conflict. All right, let me pause right there. So what he's doing is he's recalling his history as he's coming down the Macedonian peninsula down to where he is right now, which is he's writing from Corinth. And if you look back in Acts chapter 16, Paul was seized and dragged and brought before rulers and attacked and ordered to be beaten. And many blows were inflicted. And then he was thrown in prison. And then while he was in prison, they even put his feet in stocks, that taking away his liberty wasn't even enough. They wanted to take away his comfort then. So they put his feet in stocks. Then there was this earthquake, and the Philippine jailer was going to kill himself and doesn't, but then he gets baptized. And then Paul and his buddies go back into jail so that the jailer doesn't get killed by the Romans the next day. It's just an unbelievable story. And so he summarizes it here and says, hey, I was shamefully treated in Philippi and suffered there. And then what do we do? So the next town down the road after this horrible thing was Thessalonica. And that's where he continued to preach the gospel, even though they beat him in the town before this. So he said, we had boldness in our God to declare to you the gospel of God in the midst of much conflict. The conflict word is agony, which is where we get the word agony, the agony of athletic competition, this great competition between, like good and evil. And that's the context that this comes in. So here, keep going. So verse 3, for our appeal does not spring from error or impurity or an attempt to deceive. But just as we have been approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel, so we speak not to please man, but to please God who tests our heart. For we never came with words of flattery, as you know, or with a pretext for greed, God is witness, nor did we seek glory from people, whether from you or for others, though we could have made demands as apostles of Christ. But we were gentle among you, like a nursing mother taking care of her own children. So being affectionately desirous of you, we were ready to share with you not only the gospel, but our very selves, because you had become very dear to us. So today we're going to find out what is the heart of a leader. What is the heart of Paul and Silas and Timothy, the heart of an evangelist? And they're going to end up describing themselves as a nursing mother. Gentle, like a nursing mother is with her infant. So let's just talk about real life, your experience. Have you ever seen a woman like this? Maybe you've seen it in your mother or your wife or a sister or a daughter. And probably it's somebody from your family, because it's such an intimate thing that you barely see this any other place. This is where you see a woman in full, when she is fully for another. You can hardly tell where one person stops and the other person starts. It's so intimate. It's so dependent. It's so providing, and it's so exposed. And you see a dedicated mother, a consistency. Remember, Paul said that he constantly mentions you in his prayers before God. The mothers that I've seen are a little bit exhausted. There's this crying out need, but they're so committed to this. it's a big sacrifice. They're being poured out. The child is being poured into. The kid is being provided for, and it's gentle. It's tender. It's a woman who is saying, this woman in full saying, I was made just for this. I was created for this. I was equipped for this. I am gifted for this. She's saying to this child, I have exactly what you need. I am exactly the person you needed, and it's exactly right here. And so this is just the pinnacle of motherhood. And so the group of men here, Paul, Silvanus, and Timothy, are going to describe themselves, get this, as women. So it's such a perfect analogy that men are going to describe themselves as women, because there's nothing in the male world that comes close to this nursing infants. Now, we know that the Thessalonians here, they're only months old as a church. Paul went down, after he visited them, he went down to Corinth. He spent 18 months in Corinth. He had 3 trips of people up to the Thessalonians, back up to them to see how they were doing. The first one was with Timothy. Then he has 2 other people that carry the letter. And this was in the first section of that, so it's in the first third. So by my math, the Thessalonian church is only maybe 6 months old, a year absolute max. So literally it's months, which is why this analogy works so well, because they're months old. You don't feed a 9-year-old, you feed a one that's 9 months old. So there's nothing else in humanity or the natural world that describes something as intimate as this. And so that's why this is the heart of the passage. The heart of this passage is a nursing female, which men say, this is the best analogy I can think of to describe what we are like to you as a nursing mother in the birth and the caring of this early church. So it's a profound day when men describe themselves as women with breasts and nursing and mothership going on. And so as we think about how Paul and those guys are approaching the Thessalonian church, we have to stop right here. We're stopped in our tracks by a nursing mother, because that's the picture that Paul wants us to realize, wants us to picture, wants us to see about how the men are treating, the leaders of the church are treating the church. The men who are leading the church are treating the church are like nursing mothers taking care of their own children. What a beautiful picture. Thanks for listening.